the landfill. And it was discussed one time whether we would charge people for taking stuff up there. I had a guy ask me again the other day about that. He said he's paying one time when he pick his trash up, then he goes up to dump something and he got to pay again. And I told him we had that discussion, but I didn't remember what the outcome was.
There was no resolution, I don't believe.
Right now in city code, it does state that we will charge, and that was something that this council voted on. So if we would wish to repeal those charges, council would need to take formal action. I will say that the fee that is affiliated with bringing in like large household items or just taking stuff to the dump, it is a common fee at most places where a landfill is managed. So it's not unheard of, but it would be something that council would need to want to initiate and repeal or revisit, since there was official action taken by council.
Raymond, if I'm not mistaken, what you're talking about was when we had discussed using the water bill. Take the water bill stub, kind of proof of residency that you live in the city. If that wasn't that what we talked about?
So we might need to amend the language then?
What was it about this time last year? Year and a half maybe?
Spring cleaning.
Yeah.
And we're doing spring cleanup again, right? So there will be a time when you just take it to the curb and they'll come pick it up, take it.
Yeah.
That doesn't cost.
Yeah, they're getting ready to gear up for that.
So that's another option, but you know, one of the reasons I keep saying years ago, it hadn't been that long, 10, 12 years maybe, there was a fee put on taking trash to the landfill because people were saying, well, I live in town and I want to dump this load of shingles off my pickup truck. And 2 weeks later, they done the roof again, had another load of shingles they went to dump. So contractors were taking waste from job sites and saying because they were a citizen, they needed to be able to dump for free. And that's when we went to a fee basis. You know, I wouldn't be opposed to setting a small limit. You know, 500 pounds of trash is a lot of trash on a pickup truck.
Yeah.
You know, if you would limit people to 500 pounds twice a year or something, I think that would fall.
And I think that was part of the discussion too.
Yeah.
It was a weight limit, certain, you know. Yeah,
We
there was
also
weight limit.
need to be mindful that we have a daily tonnage limit at the landfill. Right now, it is at 50 tons a day. We're working to get the official approval to have it where it can be 100 tons a day. But that is also something to be mindful of as well. If the fee were completely reduced and it was anything, you know, 500 pounds and under, just realizing that then that may make operationally some challenges for the folks at the landfill and our DEQ reporting requirements. Because we also deal with, since we take Bath County's refuse, and there's constant renovation and efforts that occur at the homestead, that we struggle meeting and staying within the range of our tonnage limits.
Wouldn't the trash and stuff that comes from the homestead be considered as a commercial?
Yeah,
Bath County actually hauls it because Bath County is the one collecting it.
but Bath County pays a tonnage fee
They pay
every
us a
time they
tonnage
go
fee,
across
but-
the state.
Yeah.
We have a daily limit right
Right.
now of 50 tons. We're working to get, and we got a temporary waiver to say we could do 100 tons a day, but it's not permanent yet. So we're working through that process with DEQ. My recommendation to this council would be that we get that waiver finalized, you know, that we're officially at 100 tons a day before we potentially look at other ways that then we may increase the influx of what comes to the landfill. Because you don't want to solve one problem and create another on the back end, especially when it deals with environmental reporting and standards like that. That's a slippery slope. And we're actively working to get the 100 tons finalized now. It's a lot of trash.
I know, I'm just thinking about how we came up with the tonnage dollars per ton price. And was it figured on 50 ton a day, or was it figured on 100 ton a day? Will we fill up too fast at 100 ton a day to make our
We are on track now to be filling up too fast. There is push from our environmental consultants to start examining and looking at prepping for opening of a new cell, which is of some concern as well. Perhaps that's something I can provide you all information on separately, or we could discuss it further here.
How long ago was that sale open? The one we in now?
Right now, it's estimated that if we elevate it to the 100 tons, which oftentimes we're close to 100 tons a day, especially if we do the spring cleanup, depending on what comes from Bath County, all of those things. And we rely on Bath County to help us break even with the landfill as well, so it's important to note that. We have about 4.8 years left on this current cell, based on the volume that's coming in.
So it's
Yes.
only a 7-year sale.
It's a 7-year sale.
Yeah. Yeah, that's about the time we figured that.
But didn't we open an extra acre with that to give us more than 7 years?
Yes, and so what I'm saying is all of that airspace will be filled within the next 4.8 years. So perhaps that's some more information based on the data that I've met with CHA regarding all of that I could provide to you all. So I'm not just speaking off of memory, and we can have a more detailed discussion on it. Yeah, I share your sentiment.
My sentiment is dealing with CHA for many years, and I have yet to get an accurate count as to how many tons of trash we put in the daggone landfill.
I will tell you that the reason that I have not given them my full support on moving to the 100-ton waiver right now is I wanted concrete data on what the actual average tonnage is per month over month, if you looked at a 6-month average and a 12-month average. I'm waiting on that information. They had very kindly prepared all of the information for me to sign for the waiver to then send to DEQ, but I am actually asking concretely for all of that information. And that is information that I feel that we all should discuss as well, because it does have immediate and long-term impacts for the city.
You know, when I joked about being brain dead, CJ, I ain't that dumb. I really ain't. I can figure volume. I don't know who the engineer is that can't figure volume, but they tell me one time it'll hold so much, then they say, well, it's good for 10 years, now it's good for 6 years. Well, you better do something next year or you will be too full. But we went through that stuff with the last city. I mean, the daggone amounts
We've been dealing
changed.
with that for 8 years.
When I got on council, they said it was good for 20 years.
Yes, and there are factors that play into it. Part of it is the rate of compaction. I do know that one of the things that has improved some of the efficiencies here recently is there is a fair amount of new equipment up there at Peters Mountain Landfill that staff is using, and they have been much more efficient with the compaction rate. That was not always the case previously.
Oh, that was part of the problem in the
Yes.
past.
Yes.
I know that.
However, the tonnage amount is a concern. My concern too is then if we're filling up faster, making sure that we're still breaking even and not ending up with our heads underwater with a landfill.
We did extensive research to come up with the idea that opening another cell was the best option and the cheapest option for the city of Covington. It wasn't much difference. There were some places it wasn't but about $3 more a ton just to forget about the landfill and take it somewhere else. So the rate we're charging is what we were told would be the proper rate to service the landfill for a 7-year sale. Anybody back there remember any of this? Thank you. So
Correct.
all our information was based on the cell lasting so long, and we had to buy equipment, and if we charged, I think it's $84 a ton, we would be okay. Then we were told, because the last cell, when they opened it, they didn't open up an acre that went with it. Is that right? There was an extra acre? You remember that, BB?
The details of it, but we gained space when that.
We gained space because there was a whole acre that wasn't figured the last time and never was open.
And I think that's where around the top or something.
Yeah,
when
so
you
then they
combine-
opened that extra
we
acre.
combined the new cell with the old cell.
Right, it gave us
Come up
another
with
acre,
this.
which an acre, 40, 50 foot deep, a whole lot of trash. And now we're at the point that we're talking about,
Within the next year, we need to start imminently planning for CHA for opening a new cell. And
so
that is of concern to me as well.
have
based on-
CHA to come and tell us,
Have a presentation on landfill.
and how much it's gonna cost us and where we're at,
Yeah.
and are we on track or are we way off track?
I can absolutely request that they come and do a presentation on it. Would you all like that I wait on signing any documentation to DEQ regarding increased tonnage till such time?
I would, yes.
I mean, I think that's in all of our best interest.
Yeah.
I will tell you that when I mentioned it to our municipal advisors, as you know, I have several different initiatives going with them, and Mr. Bryan's aware of those as well. They were shocked that I was being encouraged to one, increase it, and two, that there was already discussion of a new cell. Because they were like, you guys just opened that one not too long ago.
3 years.
So,
So we set up here, my background's in highway maintenance, newspaper, education, industry. So we have to trust professionals to bring us the right information. And I'm getting to the point that I don't know that I can trust some of the professionals.
that we have utilized.
Yes. It's right frustrating because I'm not an expert at everything.
Especially when professionals in any field that have a specialization are very costly. Very
Yes.
costly.
Yes, I agree. That's all I have to say about that.
Well, we'll get them to come and present.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Lord have mercy.
When CHA comes, is there any other, since they do handle quite a few projects?
No,
Are there any
I-
other projects you want, or you just want to solely
Let's
focus
worry
on
about that.
Let's look at the landfill
Yeah.
again. 'Cause,
Okay.
man, I've been having this argument,
8
this
years.
discussion for 8 years.
All
When
right.
David and I ran for council in 2012, one of the things we talked a lot about was, why are we in the landfill business and can't we do it cheaper than what we're doing now? And we were convinced we couldn't do it any cheaper than what we're doing now.
I will tell you, we are one of only a handful of localities within the state that still operate their own landfill.
Right.
Amherst County is one of them.
Most people are in an authority.
They are in the authority, and it's going to places like Charles City. So we are
Bent mountains.
last of a dying breed with
Yes,
that.
we are.
And part of that too is all the environmental regulations make it very cumbersome to
3 or
do.
4 years ago, too.
So I will reach out to CHA tomorrow about this.
Thank you.
And for April.
I came on just a year and a half after you.
Do y'all have any other questions y'all want to bring up about the landfill while we're here? Because they need to come and give us a presentation.
I agree with that.
I don't know if it'll do any good. I heard last one.
Yeah, the same thing.
Well,
See, that's the same thing as 3 years ago. We heard this same thing.
All right,
Talked about going somewhere else then.
thank you, Crystal.